Good morning, children. Hope you all are doing good. Hearty welcome to all of you for today's session. Children, today I will be discussing you a new lesson from our supplementary reader, Footprints Without Feet. Lesson 2, The Thief Story, written by Ruskin Bond. I know you are very familiar with Ruskin Bond, so I am not giving you any more explanation on Ruskin Bond. Okay, let me give you a brief introduction to the lesson. Our story, The Thief Story. It's about a 15-year-old thief who changes his name every month to stay ahead of the police and all the employers. This time, he kept his name Hari Singh. The other person in the story is a 25-year-old writer named Anil. The thief meets Anil and asks him whether he can work for him. Thus, the story unfolds on how the thief betrays Anil by committing a theft, but retracts later on. Okay, so let's go straight to our textbook and let me read the passage. I was still a thief when I met Anil, and though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked easygoing, kind, and simple enough for my purpose. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. You look a bit of a wrestler yourself, I said. A little flattery helps in making friends. So do you? He replied, which put me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. Well, I said modestly, I do wrestle a bit. What's your name? Hari Singh, I lied. I took a new name every month. That kept me ahead of the police and my former employers. After this introduction, Anil talked about the well-oiled wrestlers who were grinding, lifting, and throwing each other about. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually. Hello again, he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. I want to work for you, I said, but I can't pay you. Okay, children, let's see the explanation. The story starts from the point where the two main characters of the story meet. Who are the two main characters? Anil and the thief. The thief is the narrator of the story, and the thief says that according to him, he was pretty good at stealing. Anil was watching a wrestling match when the thief approached him. Anil was a tall, lean, and an easy-going man of 25. Did you understand? What kind of a man was Anil? Anil was a tall, lean, and an easy-going man of 25. The thief had not committed any theft in the past few days, as he did not get a chance. So he thought that Anil would be a good man to steal things from. So he thought about getting comfortable with him. Then the thief commented on Anil that he looks like a wrestler himself. He said that to win his confidence by flattering him. In order to get his confidence by flattering him. To this, Anil replied that even the thief looked like a wrestler, which offended him. What's the reason, children? Because he was very thin at that time. The thief modestly replied that he did wrestle a bit sometime. Then Anil asked his name, and the narrator lied that his name was Hari Singh. As I told you, the narrator used to change his name every month to escape the police and his ex-employers. Then Anil started to talk about the well-oiled wrestlers whom they watched over there. As Anil was leaving, the narrator followed him. Then the narrator gave Anil the most attractive smile and said, I want to work for you. Anil told him that he won't be able to pay him for his work. Did you get the last sentence, children? I gave him my most appealing smile. What's the meaning of appealing? Attractive. So, I want to work for you, I said. Hari Singh said, I want to work for you. Then what's the reply given by Anil? Anil told him that he won't be able to pay him for his work. Hope you understood this passage. Let's move on to the next one, children. I thought that over a minute, perhaps I had misjudged my man. I asked, "Can you feed me? Can you cook?" "I can cook," I lied again. "If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you." He took me to his room over the Jamna sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony. But the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. But I just hung around, smiling in my most appealing way, and he couldn't help laughing. Later, he patted on me on the head and said, "Never mind, he would teach me to cook." He also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and to add numbers. I was grateful. I knew that once I would write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning, then I would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit of about a rupee a day. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. Okay, let's see the explanation, children. Harry. Harry had not expected that reply from Anil. What did he say? Anil told him that he won't be able to pay him for his work. So Harry had not expected that reply and thought to himself that he had misjudged Anil. So he said to himself, he had misjudged. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. Then he asked another question, "Can you feed me?" Okay, so Harry the thief thought that Anil had a lot of money. That is what is, he had misjudged Anil. So he thought to himself, Harry thought to himself that he had misjudged Anil. By how, children? Harry the thief thought that Anil had a lot of money. So the narrator, Harry then asked, "Can you feed me?" To which Anil instantly asked, "Can you cook?" Yes, Harry again lied. He said, "Yes, I can." Then Anil replied that if Harry could cook, then he could feed him. Did you get the sentence, children? Then Anil replied that if Harry could cook, then he could feed him. Then both of them went to Anil's room, which was above the Jamna sweet shop. Anil also told him that he could sleep in the balcony. Then, before sleeping, Harry had prepared a meal for Anil. What happened to it, children? The meal that he cooked that night must have been terrible. The meal that he cooked that night must have been terrible. What's the reason, children? Because Anil had to give it to a stray dog. Anil didn't have it. He had to give it to a stray dog. But he didn't scold him and asked him to go and sleep. But Harry decided to stay there for a while. Harry's smile was so appealing. So attractive that Anil could not stop laughing. And after some time, Anil patted on Harry's head and told him that he would teach him how to cook. He also taught him how to write his name and told him that he would soon teach him to write sentences and add numbers. Harry was so thankful to Anil, so grateful to Anil, because Harry knew that there would be no limits to his work once he knew how to write. Did you get the sentence, children? See, I was grateful. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. So Harry knew that there would be no limits to his work once he knew how to write. So he was very sure that he would be successful in his life too. So Harry enjoyed working for Anil. How is in the last paragraph, children? It was quite pleasant working for Anil. So Harry enjoyed working for Anil. He used to make tea for him in the morning and then used to go out to buy groceries for the day. But he would take 1 rupee from the money that Anil used to give him. Did you get the sentence, children? He would take 1 rupee from the money that Anil used to give him for buying the day's supply. So Anil knew that 1 rupee had been missing every day, but he did not mind it. He was fine with it. Okay, he did not mind it. He was fine with it. He had no problem. But he knew that 1 rupee had been missing every day. Anil made money by fits and starts. He would borrow 1 week, lend the next. He kept worrying about his next check. But as soon as it arrived, sorry children, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a pure way to make a living. One evening he came home with a small bundle of notes, saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. I had been working for Anil for almost a month, and apart from cheating on the shopping, had not done anything in my line of work. I had every opportunity for doing so. Anil had given me a key to the door, and I could come and go as I pleased. He was the most trusting person I had ever met. And that's why it was so difficult to rob him. It's easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed. But it is difficult to rob a careless man. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of the work. Well, it's time I did some real work, I told myself. I am out of practice, and if I don't take the money, he will only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me. Okay, children, listen. So, Anil, the writer, he made money by fits and starts. What's the meaning of fits and starts, children? Anil, sorry, Anil, sorry, children. Anil made money by fits and starts. Listen, what's the meaning of fits and starts? I'll give you the explanation. Anil did not have any regular income as he used to earn money by doing different activities. Understood? Anil did not have any regular income as he used to earn money by doing different activities. He didn't have any fixed job. The narrator says that Anil used to be worried about his paychecks all the time. Have you seen the sentence, children? See, here it is. He kept worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. So, what's a character of Anil? The narrator says that Anil used to be worried about his paychecks all the time. But as soon as he would receive a check, what he would do? He would go out with friends and celebrate. So that's a character of Anil. So the narrator thinks that he used to write for magazines. The narrator, he understood that Anil wrote for magazines. Then, according to the narrator, it's a strange way to make money. What's the reason, children? Because he was not an educated one. Okay, nowadays he knew how to write his name or how to write sentences and add numbers with the help of Anil. So he thinks that it's a strange way to make money. What's a strange way to make money? It seems he wrote for magazines. A pure way to make a living. A strange way to make living. Okay, then suddenly one evening Anil came home with some money and told Hari that he had just sold a book to a publisher. So he realized that the person or Anil, he wrote for magazines. So one day what happened to him, children? Suddenly one evening Anil came home with some money and told Hari that he had just sold a book to a publisher. So before going to bed, Anil put the money under his mattress and Hari saw him putting the money there. Hari thought that he had been working for Anil for almost a month, but he had not cheated him except the 1 rupee that he used to take out daily. By how, children? Yes, Anil also knew that 1 rupee had been missing every day. By how? Yes, who would take? Hari Singh would take 1 rupee from the money that Anil used to give him for buying the day's supply. Okay, so Anil thought that, not Anil, children, Hari thought that he had not cheated him except the 1 rupee that he used to take out daily. So the narrator thinks that he had a very chance to steal Anil. It's a suitable time to steal Anil, as Anil had given him the key to his room as well, and he could come and go whenever he wished to do so. Did you understand, children? What's the sentence? Hari thought that he had been working for Anil for almost a month and he had not cheated him except the 1 rupee that he used to take out daily. Hari Singh also thinks that he had every chance to steal. That's the reason, as Anil had given him the key to his room as well, and he could come and go whenever he wished to do so. Then he also thinks that Anil had trusted upon Hari the most. Did you get the sentence, children? Anil had trusted upon Hari the most. So this was the only thing that was stopping Hari from stealing, as Hari thought it's easy to rob a greedy man. Have you seen that paragraph? Yes, here it is. One evening he came home with a small bundle of notes. Who came with a small bundle of notes? Anil. And saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. So, Hari Singh saw him tuck the money under the mattress. Then, see, here is the sentence, children. Second last paragraph. That's why it's so difficult to rob him. What's the reason, children? He was the most trusting person I had ever met. Whose words are these, children? Yes, Anil was the most trusting person. According to Hari Singh, Anil was the most trusting person he had ever met. So that's the thing, or that's why it was so difficult for him to rob Anil. Then he says, it's easy to rob a greedy man. What's the reason, children? Because he can afford to be robbed. It's very easy to rob a greedy man because he has the capacity or the money to get robbed. And at the same time, he would realize, Hari Singh realized that he had been robbed. By how, children? It's difficult to rob a careless man. It's easy to rob a greedy man, but it's difficult to rob a careless man. What's the reason? Sometimes he doesn't even notice he has been robbed. Did you understand? So it's difficult to rob a careless man because he didn't even notice that he had been robbed. Then there is no fun left in robbing him. Last sentence, that takes all the pleasure out of the work. What's the meaning, children? Then there would be no fun left in robbing him. At last, Hari decided to do some real work. The last paragraph, children. At last, Hari decided to do some real work. What's it? He tried to justify his act of stealing money from Anil. So he decided to steal the money. So if he didn't steal the money, it would be wasted by Anil for his friends. That's a justification. So he tried to justify his act of stealing money from Anil. What's it? If he didn't steal the money, it would be wasted by Anil for his friends. So he also thought that he had a right over it. What's the reason? He had a right over that money because Anil didn't even pay him for the work he used to do. So have you got the justification made by Hari Singh? Yes, here is the justification. He tried to justify his act of stealing money from Anil. What's that? If he didn't steal the money, it would be wasted by Anil for his friends. Then he also thought one more thing, that he had a right over it, as Anil didn't even pay him for the work he used to do there. Okay. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat upon the floor, considering the situation. If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. Slipping out of the blanket, I crept up to the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. My hand slid under the mattress, searching for the notes. When I found them, I drew them out without a sound. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned on his side towards me. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. I had the notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pajamas. I slowed down to a walk and counted the notes. 600 rupees in 50s. I could live like an oil-rich Arab for a week or two. Okay, children, let's see the explanation. This is the last slide. Okay, listen. He looked at Anil, who was sleeping. Who looked at Anil? Hari Singh looked at Anil, who was sleeping, peacefully without a single line on his face. Have you seen the sentence, children? See, Anil was asleep. Yes, if I took the money. See, here it is, children. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat upon the floor, considering the situation. So, what's going on there, children? Anil, he was sleeping peacefully, and have you noticed his face, children? Here it is. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. So, what's there, children? Anil was sleeping peacefully without a single line on his face. Then, what about the condition of Hari? Hari realized that although he was much younger than Anil, he was only 15 years old. Although he was much younger than Anil, he had scars and marks on his face. What's the reason? Due to his wrong deeds and thoughts. See the sentence, children. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. So, what's it, children? It's because his wrong deeds and thoughts. Okay. Then, what did he do? He sat upon the floor, considering the situation. See, the situation is very clear for him. So, by thinking this, Hari took out the knots without making any sound. He didn't make any sound at all. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. So it was not so dark. There was moonlight. So he sat on the floor, considered the situation. Then at last he took the money. So he thought that he could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. So what he would do, children? Yes, he took out the knots without making any sound. But Anil took a deep breath in his sleep and turned towards him. Hari got scared and quickly left the room with that money. Then he started running towards the railway station. He had kept the money in a secure way by tying it with the string of his pajamas. Did you get the sentence, children? He started running after taking the money. He quickly left the room and started running towards the railway station. What's the reason, children? Because he thought that he could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. Yes, what did he do with the money? He had kept the money in a secure way by tying it with the string of his pajamas. He had the knots at his waist. It's safe there. Then, after a while, he slowed down and counted the knots. He had 12 knots of 50 rupees, which made it 600 rupees. So Hari was so happy that he could live a luxurious life like an Arab for at least 2 weeks. Did you get that, children? Hari was so happy because he got 100 rupees. So he could live a luxurious life like an Arab for at least 2 weeks. Children, here comes an end of this video, but today itself I will send you another video comprises the concluding part of our lesson, children. You know, a lot of lessons are to be completed, so I would like to complete this lesson today itself. So I will send you another video today itself. So the concluding part of our lesson. That's the concluding part of our lesson. Since tomorrow is Sunday, no other classes, so you can watch the 2 videos and complete the notes and assignment before the next class. Our next class will be on Tuesday. So read the lesson carefully. No more messages will be given in WhatsApp. So check it and watch the 2 videos and do the work, children. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day.